In the last installment in this miniseries, we looked at some of the highest-ranking California public officials who defected to serve the Confederacy during the American Civil War. These included a U.S. Senator, several U.S. Congressmen, and former Chief Justice of the State Supreme Court, David Terry. Today, we look at several more California government officials who defected to serve the Confederacy during the war between the states and territories. David Terry, whom we looked at in the last installment, is considered the highest-ranking state-level politician to defect because civilian authority outranks military authority. But after him, the second highest-ranking defector on the state level was the top-ranking soldier in the state forces. Thomas Jefferson Greene, born in 1802, had a long history of military and civilian public service. In the 1820s, as a young man, he served in the North Carolina state legislature. After the U.S. conquered Florida in the Second Seminole War, Greene moved to Florida and served a stint in that legislature. In 1836, he moved to Texas, raised a volunteer regiment, and led that regiment in the Texas War of Independence. While serving as a general in the post-war Texas Army, he also served in the Republic of Texas Congress. Greene participated in both 1842 expeditions to conquer Mexican New Mexico for Texas, in which the filibusters got their butts handed to them. In the first expedition, they were captured and paraded as prisoners before being made to go home on foot and disarmed. In the second expedition, the filibusters killed many times more Mexican soldiers than their own number of casualties, but they still lost and had to surrender. Greene escaped from a Mexican prison and made it back to Texas, once again a hero. He was then elected once again to the Texas Congress and served in office until annexation 2 years later. He sat out the Mexican War, already a several times war veteran and an elder statesman. In 1849, Greene went to newly annexed California looking for gold, but he didn't find it. He did find a constituency. He was elected to the first state senate in 1850 and was one of the politicians who specifically tried legalizing African chattel slavery in California, though he did not succeed. Greene later served as Major General of the California State Militia, which was the highest military rank in the state. When the Civil War began, Major General Greene quietly abandoned his post and went back to his home state of North Carolina to run his family estate and support the Confederacy. He was 59 when the war began, and too old for active wartime military service, but like many wealthy Confederates, his plantation provided financial and material support for the war effort. Greene died in December of 1863 at age 61, in failing health, and having witnessed the rebellion lose at Vicksburg and Gettysburg. According to his son, he died of a broken heart over the tide turning against the Confederacy. The next highest-ranking California Confederate was Colonel Harry Thornton. Harry Innes Thornton Jr. was born and raised in Alabama, the son of a state senator. The Thorntons moved to California in search of their fortune when Harry Jr. was a teenager, and as Harry Sr. quickly got a position in the state government, Harry Jr. was introduced to the movers and shakers of California Democratic Party politics. He was elected a state senator in 1854 at age 21, and voted in favor of Southern interests, especially the planter class. Harry Sr. passed away in January 1861 while the secession crisis was in full swing. In February 1861, a month after his father's death, Harry Thornton Jr. made a passionate speech on the California Senate floor arguing in favor of a state's right to secede from the Union. After Alabama seceded and began raising troops, the young state senator resigned from office and returned to Dixie to fight in the war. Thornton began the war as a major in the 32nd Alabama Infantry Regiment and served on General Albert Sidney Johnson's staff. He was wounded for the first time in the Battle of Shiloh, the same battle where General Johnston was killed. He was later promoted to lieutenant colonel and commanded the 58th Alabama Infantry. Colonel Thornton was wounded in the Battle of Chickamauga and spent several months recovering. He was later wounded again at the Battle of Resaca. He participated in the unsuccessful campaign to defend Atlanta, which fell to Union forces in the late summer of 1864. Thornton somehow survived the carnage of the Battle of Franklin, leading the 58th Alabama in 7 amphibious attacks across the Harpeth River, all of which were repulsed with high casualties. After the war, he moved to Nevada in the 1870s, and he was very successful practicing law and representing mining enterprises. He returned to his beloved California in the 1880s, where he spent his final years, along with his wife and his 3 sisters. The next high-ranking California rebel was not a Southerner by birth. Daniel Showalter was born and raised in Pennsylvania before going to California to look for gold. Showalter served 2 non-consecutive terms in the state assembly representing Mariposa County, taking Philemon Herbert's old seat when the latter was elected to the U.S. Congress. He was elected as a Democrat, and when the sectional crisis began, he strongly identified with the Southern Democrats. In May of 1861, Showalter was one of a handful of assembly members who voted against a resolution for California to remain in the Union. This controversial vote immediately stirred up debate, which resulted in a duel in which Showalter killed fellow state assemblyman, Northern Democrat Charles Piercy of San Bernardino. Now on the run, Showalter made his way south through California on the Confederate Reverse Underground Railroad, trying to get to Texas to join the Confederate Army. Showalter was captured in San Diego County and imprisoned for several months at Fort Yuma. After his release on parole, Showalter made another escape attempt, this one successful. He went to Mexico, and he slowly made his way through northern Mexico to Confederate Texas in order to finally join the Confederate Army in 1863. By 1864, Showalter was the deputy commander of the 4th Texas-Arizona Cavalry. After the Arizona Brigade disintegrated in April of 1865, Showalter was one of just 15 Arizona scouts who remained loyal to the Confederate cause. He was one of many Confederate officers who went into exile in Mexico, where he died in 1866, having contracted tetanus when he was cut in a bar fight. That's all for today. But don't worry, there will be more installments in this series because there are still more California government officials who defected to serve the Confederacy during the Civil War. Thank you for watching the Civil War Wild West edition. If you haven't already done so, please hit like and subscribe and leave a comment on this video. It really does help out this channel with the algorithms so that other students of Civil War history just like you can find out these rich stories of the Civil War in the Wild West. Thank you.